Hi everyone. Today's video is going to give you all those updates that have come out since President Trump's suspension on not only immigration, but the non-immigrant visas like the H1B, the L, the H2A, and the J visas. I'm going to give you all the nitty-gritty details of all the clarifications and extra information that you need to know with regard to these suspensions that have come out. Hi, I'm Andrea Shev, and I'm the managing attorney at Shev Law Group in Los Angeles, California. I've been doing immigration for almost 20 years now, and I put together these videos in this channel to give you really good information, straightforward, easy to understand about all types of immigration issues. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe right now. Go ahead and hit it down below, right below this video, and don't forget to also hit that little bell so you're notified the next time a video comes out. And make sure that you stay tuned to the end of this video because I'm going to give you a fun fact that I bet you didn't know about an American immigrant. Okay, let's just get into it. So first and foremost, we're going to go quickly through the suspensions that are already put into place. And then we're going to go into the updates on those suspensions and key information and facts that I know you'll be interested in. And again, don't forget to wait till the end of the video because there's going to be a fun fact that I absolutely guarantee that I bet you don't know about an American immigrant. Okay, so there is a suspension in place. Now, if you want more information and details other than just this quick overview, make sure you hit that link above and watch the other two videos, one that's on the immigration suspension and one is on the suspension on H1Bs, L visas, Js, and H2Bs that just happened like last week. So if you want more detailed information about the actual suspension, watch those two videos. It will give you all the information you need. This is just going to be a quick overview, and then we're going to get into the updates that came out since this suspension got put into place. Okay, first and foremost, the suspension that President Trump put in place for immigration purposes in April has been extended now to the end of the year. It covers individuals that are outside of the United States that did not already have an immigrant visa in their passport on April 23rd, and also do not have any other type of travel document that will let them come into the country. So those are the individuals that are subject to the immigrant suspension. Now, the exclusions for that immigrant suspension are the following. If you're a permanent resident of the United States already, if you already have a visa, an immigrant visa in your passport, like I said, before April 23rd, if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you're getting petitioned through that U.S. citizen, you're excluded. If you're part of the armed forces, if you're applying under the EB-5 program, if you're coming in as a physician or a nurse to work in the healthcare system, if you are coming in the national interest of the United States. So those are more or less the exemptions or the exclusions from that immigrant suspension. Now let's talk about the non-immigrant suspension and who is included under that suspension that began on June 24th, 2020, just a couple weeks ago, not even a couple weeks ago. So it's for individuals that are, again, outside of the United States. Again, I want you to hear me because it's very confusing. A lot of people get confused with this. These suspensions are people that are outside of the United States that are applying for visas that are H1B, J visas, L visas, or H2B visas, and that do not already have a visa in their passport on June 24th, 2020. Those are the people that are included under that suspension, which is the non-immigrant portion of the suspension by President Trump of immigration. All right, so who is excluded from this non-immigrant suspension? Well, Canadians are excluded. They're not part of the suspension and they're not subject to it. Secondly, likely H2B applicants that are coming to the United States to work in the food supply chain are going to be excluded from the suspension. Thirdly, there is anyone who's coming into the United States that is in the national interest should be admitted under one of these visas can come in. Now that will be issues or that will be people coming in to work in law enforcement or national security or diplomacy or to work directly with COVID-19 patients. These are subjective decisions made by the Secretary of State or Secretary of Labor based on the information that you provide and evidence that you provide that it is in the national interest that you're let into the country under one of these type categories. It's not something that is a blanket exclusion for anyone that just says, I'm coming into work in law enforcement or I'm coming to work with COVID-19 patients. There has to be clear evidence that you actually qualify for that exclusion, and it's a discretionary determination by the consulate, which is the Secretary of State, to determine if it, in fact, you qualify to use that exclusion. Okay, now let's get into the updates and clarifications that have happened since the proclamation came out. Because the proclamation, even when I did my video, there were some things that were kind of gray and that I didn't really understand or needed clarification on, and they actually came out and they clarified quite a few things. One is that Canadians are not subject to this exclusion or this suspension. They're not even part of it. So if you're a Canadian out there and you're watching this video, you're off the hook. You have no issues with this. And part of this is because H2Bs and H1Bs and Ls, they are not actually visaed in Canada. Most Canadians can come in with just an approval notice. So Canadians, you can stop watching, even though I would love you to continue watching, but you're not subject to the non-immigrant suspension. The second one is that they actually clarified what is the food supply chain. Like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean that restaurant waitresses and waiters, does that mean that cooks in restaurants? I mean, what does it mean by food supply chain or working in the food supply chain? What they're talking about, and I can read directly what they said, is that they're looking at getting food from one place to another. It only accounts for about 15% of H2B workers that apply every year. So it's a very small group of people, but it's for people who are getting H2B visas to be in the chain of food supply across the United States. It's not for people that are working in the food industry or in hospitality. It's for people that are actually transporting food or involved in the transport and packaging of food along the way. So it's those people that we're talking about, not everyone else that's involved in actually the service of food or any kind of restaurants and so on and so forth. So the H2B workers, and it only, like I said, makes up about 15% of the total H2B applicants that happen every year. So it's a very small group of people that they're talking about. But it was a good clarification for all of us to understand because it was a little bit gray in the language that was put into the proclamation. Another clarification that they came out with is medical workers, because in the original April proclamation that came out about suspending immigration, it was just basically anyone that's in the medical field, like so doctors or physicians or nurses can come in. But now they've made it very, very clear that it is only for individuals that are in the medical field that are going to come to work directly with COVID-19 patients or research. It has to be proven that you're going to work directly with COVID-19 patients or research. It's not just for any physician or any healthcare professional. It's only for those that are going to work directly with COVID-19 patients. The next clarification is that they amended the proclamation to read that it's not any non-immigrant visa that you have in your passport as of June 24th. It has to be one of the visas that is listed, like an H1B or an H2B or an L or a J, because it was a little bit confusing on two levels. One level was confusing because it said any non-immigrant visa. So does that mean that if I have a B visa in my passport, I can come in as long as it was issued before June 24th? No. It is only regard to H1B, H2B, L, and J visas that were issued and put in your passport before June 24th, 2020. Now, on my video, if you did watch it, I was saying that it's a little bit confusing because what if I get a visa that's issued on, let's say, June 20th, but I'm not going to start working under that visa until July 5th or October 1 if it's an H1B. Because sometimes we get our visas and our passports much earlier than we can actually enter the country. So what they've said is that if it's issued prior to June 24th, then you're good to go. So go and look in your passport and look at your visa if you already have one in your passport and see what the issue date was on that visa. So even if they've made a notation that you can't enter until, let's say, 2 weeks before the date on the visa that was issued, if it was issued on the date prior to June 24th, then you can enter the country and not be subject to the suspension. So again, let me clarify. If I get a visa put in my passport and it was issued and the issue date is June 20th, but I know that my start date for work is not till July 15th, I can come in the country. I'm not subject to this exclusion because I have an issued visa that is dated before June 24th. Okay, so it's not that you had to come into the country or there has to be a job that started before June 24th. It just means that the visa in the passport has to have been issued before June 24th. So that clarified it for me. That was something that was really bothering me when I read it. So I hope it clarifies now for you all out there that it is an issued passport date. It's not the date that you begin work, or it's not the date that you have to have come into the country. Okay? The other thing that was discussed is also, what about the H1B system? There's been a lot of discussion about what's going to happen with the H1B system with the language that was put in the suspension regarding looking into ways of modifying non-immigrant visa programs to be more beneficial to U.S. citizens and reduce the amount of competition that's happening. And what the discussion is moving towards a merit-based system. So meaning that we get the best and the brightest, whatever that means, the best and the brightest in the fields, getting the H1Bs first and foremost above entry-level positions. So the highest paid individuals or the highest waged individuals that are applying will be in line before any individuals that are looking to come into entry-level positions. Now, they've said looking at not only getting rid of the lottery system, because the lottery system would allow anyone, it doesn't decipher between higher waged individuals and lower waged individuals. They're also talking about reducing or modifying the actual wage levels that are on or produced by the Department of Labor, and looking at, only anyone from the 50 percentile above is, within the prevailing wage, which is the required minimum wage that needs to be paid to the individual on an H1B visa. So instead of allowing for a level 1 wage or someone who's an entry level position, it would go up to the prevailing wage that's required has to be at the 50% mark, which would be a higher level wage required, meaning that it's someone with more experience and possibly more education for the particular jobs, going back to more the merit-based system. So those are some of the things that they're talking about. They're trying to reduce that competition at the entry-level position or the entry-level level. Is that so when people are coming out of universities and they're going into positions, there'll be less competition for U.S. citizens because those individuals will not be able to apply for H1B visas. It has to be people at a higher level with more years of experience, more education, and more to bring to the table to companies, and not such entry-level type positions. Now, in my opinion, I see some of the argument in that, but we also have to understand that there's tons of vacancies in entry-level positions in certain sectors of the United States because people are just not going into those areas. U.S. citizens are just not training or educating themselves as much as other countries are, so we don't have enough people to take those positions. And for example, that's our STEMs usually, our STEM positions like science, technology, engineering, and math. Those type jobs, we don't have enough people. So make it higher level or whatever you want to make it, but we still need tons of entry-level positions filled that we do not have in the United States because people are just not graduating from our universities that are U.S. citizens that can take those jobs. There's just not enough of them. Okay, you ready for the fun fact of something I bet you didn't know about an American immigrant? Let me give you a hint. A little boy comes to the United States at 6 years old from the Soviet Union with his family, studies here, eventually goes on to study at the University of Maryland mathematics, just like his father and his grandfather, then goes on to study a PhD program at Stanford University, but leaves in the middle of the PhD program to start a little itty-bitty, insignificant, not really important search engine called Google. Well, you know who that is? That's Sergey Brin, a boy who came here and immigrated to the United States and has given our country, along with the world, so much to be thankful for. Not only has he given us the brilliance of Google, but he's also brought so much more to this country. Thank you, Sergey Brin, for coming here. And thank you to all immigrants for coming here and giving us so much to be proud of as Americans in the United States. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it gave you a lot of good information. I hope it gave you also a little tiny fact about another American immigrant in the United States. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know every time a video comes out. And make sure you leave me lots and lots of comments below so I know how you felt about this video, if you have any questions, if you want other information on other topics. please give me as much information as you can, because I'm doing these videos for you. So I want to know what you need to hear and what information you need. Hope you have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.